main guys that the offense is based around and let's say they're going to give the ball to in crunch time moments. So when they need a point, they need a side out. Who's that ball going to?
Good morning, everybody, Footy fans. How we doing on this beautiful Footy Fridays on the 22 West Sports Block, your home for the beautiful game. We got JD, Desi, and Diego here with me. How are you guys doing on this Friday morning?
Doing good, man.
Oof, a little tired. Long week.
It's been a long week.
Yeah.
Good day to talk footy, though. It's the
a
best
good day
time.
to talk about it.
Best time.
We got a lot going on. We got Champions League to talk about. We got some local footy starting up this weekend. And we can kind of take a look at our little head-to-head action, which I think was a success so far.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Initially, I was a little skeptical,
Yeah.
but I think competition is good.
Oh, it's
So.
great. I love it.
It's
Well, I
fun
mean,
to-
yeah, you got first place.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, says the guy.
Yeah.
Says the guy at the top. Says the guy at the top.
by 1 point. Let me
Just
just,
one
let
point.
me
I
just
know,
yeah.
it's
reemphasize that. you know.
Job's not finished.
Job's not finished. Right on. Well, let's get started. Once again, welcome to Footy Fridays. If you're listening on live on YouTube, hello, we're live on YouTube again. If you are listening live on the radio on 88.1 KKJZ HD3, welcome. If you're listening on the 22 West Sports, or excuse me, the 22 West Media website at 20westmedia.com, you can listen there. And if so, welcome. Let's get started. Do you guys have anything you want to get off your chest?
I got one thing, and it was an announcement that I'm kind of okay with, and it's a change to the World Cup, 2026 halftime show
I saw
at
that.
the World Cup final.
I saw that.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan.
I'm with it. I think we need halftime entertainment, at least at a grand scale. Coming to America, if there's one very American thing we can add to the World Cup, it's a bombastic halftime show.
Who, in your dream scenario for the first major halftime show for this American World Cup, who are you calling first?
Well, that's what I was just going to ask. I agree with you. But I think to have that be like a real thing, you would need just a number one, like a headliner star that's going to just
I think
tear
there's
the cover off.
There's only one way to do it.
Yeah.
And it's to bring up all of those past great World Cup songs and those performers and do some kind of like celebration to like catch us up to that point.
They kind of already did that though. With the I think they did in Qatar. I'm pretty sure they did it in Qatar.
Really?
They did like a little sum up of like the most iconic World Cup songs from the past few tournaments. So
I did not see that.
I didn't either, actually.
that was in the final, I think. Yeah, they did it in the final.
Huh.
Interesting.
I would love to see it as a performance though.
Yeah.
Like transition through the years and then like catch up, and then obviously there's going to be a song for 2026. You end up with that song. That's the main ender.
Now, I only have one question though.
Yeah.
Is this a permanent change or just for next year's World Cup?
Oh, it's got to be for next year's World Cup. I don't know if they're going to implement that for the rest of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because here's the thing. I do agree that this is a great idea. But now let's go to the reactions. Because there's been a tremendous backlash. FIFA is ruining the game. This is horrendous, horrible idea. Now, I agree with this, like I said. And here's my message to the fans. This is just a one-time thing. They're not ruining the game. Let's make it unique. Like, JD, like you said, it's an American thing. Taking place here in the World Cup, here in America. Yes, like this is great. It's a unique thing to do. It's not going to be a permanent change, as we assume it won't be. So, no, it's not going to be ruining the game. So, as far as European fans are concerned, you just got to bring it down a notch,
But let me ask you this. What's the downside? Is there a downside?
There is literally
Yeah.
no downside.
I don't see any downside at all as
no
well.
downside
Yeah.
at
No,
all.
I don't
Right?
think there is either.
There's
What
no
is so
downside.
bad about having a little mini concert right in the middle of a football match?
It
Tell me what's the
benefits
negative thing there.
Everyone. Fans, supporters. It's fun. It's entertainment. It's like
Yeah.
it's an event.
It's so much fun. I
Right?
love halftime shows. Even not like the big Super Bowl halftime shows, but even like at some local games when you just have somebody come out, or when you're in the Walter Pyramid and the kids come out to play, a little 5-on-5.
Yeah,
at
sometimes they play
half-court.
harder than the
Right.
team. that's
There's
out
just,
there.
there needs to be a little boost of entertainment during halftime. And if you don't want it, go get yourself a concession stand item.
Yeah.
Right? Go get yourself
Go get a hot dog, man.
Go get a hot
Go
dog.
get a hot dog.
Right?
Go to the bathroom.
Take a lap.
Take a
Yeah.
lap. But bring in some halftime entertainment to the World Cup. I think there's nothing but positives out of this.
I like it.
Now,
I like it a
to your
lot.
point, Desi, who is performing? I want to know your thoughts.
I mean, there's a lot of people that could, but I think there's a small number that should.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
You got a few names?
I got some names, but I don't know if they're realistic names. Like,
Let's dream. Let's dare to dream.
let's dream.
Let's dream.
I mean, my first thought was Bruno Mars.
Ooh, that's
he's
not a
global.
bad pick.
He's global.
I think he's a global name. I mean, especially now. I think he's like number 1 on Spotify, listening, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was my first thought. And
I'm
he's
sure
a
MGM wants him to do it
100%.
since he owes him some money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen many reports saying it's going to be Coldplay.
I don't want
Ooh,
to.
I
I
would-
know
I wouldn't
Coldplay's
like that.
helping like with the organization, but I don't think they should perform.
I wouldn't.
I mean, I wouldn't mind to be fair.
I'm down for someone like Dua Lipa. I know she's
Yeah.
performed at the Champions League before,
yeah,
like
that's
before
true.
the game, because they don't do a
Ooh.
halftime show for the Champions League final, but they'll do like a whole pregame show. So I feel like that would be kind of, people are already familiar with her.
Yeah.
She's not just an American name.
That's a slam dunk too.
Yeah.
I think
It is. She can
That'd be
release
a
new
home
album.
run.
that'd be exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be a home run name.
Okay.
I like it.
All
I like
right.
it.
Well, all right. So, I mean, World Cup's not for another
Year and a
year,
half,
year and a few
Yeah.
months. Like, when do you think they'll announce
Oof.
when they do it? Because for the Super Bowl, they usually do it week 1, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or maybe like the season had just started. There's been a few games, and then you see an ad. Boom,
Mm.
Kendrick Lamar
Right.
doing the halftime show. When do we think we see that for the World
I mean, they're
Cup?
dropping little hints here
Tidbits.
already, right? Are they? So like,
Like, hey, Coldplay's gonna.
I think
run
it's going to
it,
be
yeah,
probably by the end of the year. I think we'll get official announcement.
I would say this summer they might even have like
a name.
some kind of structure to it. Maybe.
We're gonna get a Fabrizio Romano. Here we go.
Could you
Oh,
imagine?
here we
go.
Coldplay to the World Cup
Here-
final. Here we
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Love that.
Actually, I really want that to happen now.
That'd be so
I just need that on my feed.
Bruno Mars
Dua
will
Lipa.
not
Breaking
travel.
news, guys.
Here we go.
Oh gosh.
Failed
All
his
right.
medical.
That's good. All right, let's get into some Champions League. It's only leg 1. I always like to say, it's not as important.
Mm.
It gives you a good idea of what's to come in leg 2, though.
Mm.
I want to start with that PSG Liverpool game.
Oof.
Yes.
What a game that was.
Stolen. Stolen.
Stolen.
Absolutely stolen. at
100%
the end.
stolen.
Yeah.
Absolutely stolen.
Let me pull up the stats so we can get the actual facts correct. But if you listeners had a chance to tune into some Champions League action this week, you knew which game you had your eyes on.
We all had our eyes on.
We all had our eyes on
PSG
this one.
Liverpool.
100%.
PSG Liverpool.
Game of the round.
Leg 1 was
basically.
in Paris, so you'd think the Parisians, PSG, would have the upper hand,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a stalemate. 27 total shots, 10 of them on target, 70% possession. You know how I feel about possession. It's a meaningless stat. It's what you do with it. But they did plenty with that possession. They just couldn't put it in the back of the net. And then late. I think when you were watching that game when Salah was subbed off, did you think that was it? Done and dusted, Liverpool are caving in, or did you think they had a little
No.
bit more left in the
They
bag?
had something because Salah all night was off.
He
Like,
was.
He had a really off night.
He did.
And when he was subbed off, it was like, okay, I think they might actually be trying to win this game. Because with Salah on the pitch, they weren't going to win. And that's so weird to say because he's having the greatest season of his career. But he had an off night. And by all means, he was not creating as much as he usually does.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just him that had an off night. I mean, the whole team did. They just did not look in unison. They looked out of what do you say? Just out of order. You know, something was off.
But Salah comes off. Harvey Elliott comes on.
Within 1 minute.
His first touch.
Within one. Exactly. His first touch. Come on, man.
Super sub.
Come on, man.
You
Peop-
can't get any better.
People were saying Allison saves that goal, and
Oh,
that's
he
the
did-
difference
yeah,
in the
he
game.
did in that
Yeah.
game.
That was a
100%.
great piece of commentary, too.
Yeah.
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 Oh
Allison.
my God, what a game.
For those that didn't watch,
Wow.
put up. I was talking to Davis about it, who's the sports desk editor over at the Long Beach Current, big Liverpool guy, and I posted something on my Instagram notes, just like, Allison masterclass in Paris tonight, and he responded to it, and he's like, dude, I know what a performance, and I said, I haven't seen a performance like that. I haven't seen a goalie put their team on his back the way that Allison did for Liverpool 2 nights ago since Tim Howard did against Belgium at the 2010 World Cup. And he said, wow, that's a great way to put it.
Really good
Great
comparison.
comp. I like
And then
that
the
comp.
same night, Wojciech Szczesny for Barcelona
Did the
pretty
same
much
thing.
did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, we got 2 great goalie performances on the same night. And that's beautiful.
It was Courtois against Liverpool in the Champions League final, too. Like, it was that level of a
Yeah.
performance. 9 saves? 9 saves.
9
That's
saves.
ridiculous. The
And it-
goalkeeper performances in this Champions League round in the knockout stage have
Yeah.
been stellar.
All
Aside
four-
from the Bayern Munich.
PSG had
game.
14 corners.
Yeah, that's just
Insane.
ridiculous.
That's
And
absurd.
they lost the game.
14 corners.
They're down 1 goal now.
All 4 matches on Wednesday ended up in a clean sheet, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good shout. Yeah, all 4 games 2 days ago ended. Somebody got a clean sheet, which obviously the PSG Liverpool game. I think we can all agree that PSG deserved to be up top.
100%.
Are you worried about them in leg 2, down a goal at Anfield, or do you think they're going to be just fine? They just have to finish their dinner.
No, I'm worried. I'm worried for
Yeah.
them. I think that might be just deflating at
You
the
know
end of the
fight
day.
That has to be
At the end of the day,
100%.
If Arne Slot managed to get 3 points here, a win here, he's not going to show any mercy at all at Anfield in the second leg. No way.
but how do you go into that game if you're PSG?
Like you did everything you possibly
Right?
could.
Like what
everything
else?
you possibly could.
Goalkeeper has a just generational.
Generational.
Generational
Sometimes
game
you
in
just
a-
got to
in a
tip your
round.
cap to your opponent and be like, you won this round. You know, it's especially. I mean, there's things in baseball and soccer that I think are very similar. And in soccer, obviously, they're not playing as many games, but they play a lot of games, you know. And sometimes you just go against a keeper who, whatever you throw at him, he's stopping. He's keeping you out.
Yeah.
And you just have to tip your cap to that sometimes. And that was the performance we saw from Alisson in a game where, you know, we say these teams, the Man Cities, the Liverpools, the Real Madrids, they find a way to win ugly games.
Mm-hmm.
The Kansas City Chiefs did it all season long,
Ugh.
you know.
That's
The
a little bit like we see out of Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, man.
now here's a guy. No, yeah, you got to win ugly games, and Liverpool just did that. Arne Slot just did that, and you know what? That reminds me, I had a stat about Arne Slot that I wanted to bring up.
It was that stat where he won against the biggest 6 of the biggest clubs in Europe, right?
No, I mean that did happen. This is true.
Is that like all top 6? What?
I think, I don't know. I need to search up the post, but something about PSG beating PSG, Man City.
Oh, it's on the Footy Fridays
I
Instagram.
think Real Madrid too.
Wow. It's
No.
crazy first season for him.
Dude, the fact that this is his first season with Liverpool,
All right,
this is just mind blowing.
here it is, and shout out to this person on Twitter, Michael Reed, for finding this stat for us. This is the 6th time that Arne Slot has named the exact starting lineup with Liverpool FC. Here's the lineup: Jota, Luis Diaz, Szoboszlai, Salah, McAllister, Gravenberch, Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, Alexander-Arnold, and Alisson. Right? So that's the lineup. That's
Okay.
probably their best lineup. That was the 6th time this season that they've started that exact starting lineup. And that's more than Jurgen Klopp fielded in any of his 491 games. He had never started the same starting 11 more than 5 times.
That's insane.
In his 591 games with Liverpool, and Arne Slot in his first season just did something that Jurgen Klopp never has. Start the same lineup 6 times.
Also means you have a lineup that you can trust 6 times.
Yeah.
Nah, this man is scary, dude.
I'm worried for.
Never trust
The
a
rest of
dude
the
that
league,
looks like
man.
Lex Luthor.
That's a
No, I'm just
great one.
kidding.
That's a great one. Stick to that.
For the record, for that previous stat that I mentioned, I found it from Fabrizio Romano. So Liverpool have now been the reigning league winners of England, Spain, Germany, and France with 0 goals conceded.
Wow.
That's crazy too.
That is pretty
That's
impressive.
insane.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you got to give credit where credit's due. And right now, I'm giving credit to Liverpool. They're the top team in the world
Would
for
you
a
guys-
reason.
Would you guys say they're the favorites to win it, the whole thing, at the end?
After that, yeah.
Yeah, they have to
Yes.
be. Because, I mean, on any given day, Mo Salah can bag a hat trick. On any given day, he can get 3 assists to Luis Diaz or Szoboszlai or Darwin Nunez off the bench. Or they can win a 1-0 game with Alisson and the defense doing their thing. You know, there's so many different ways they can win.
Yeah.
It's hard to ignore that.
Yeah.
But if there's a team that I think could challenge them, I think the winner of the Madrid Derby has a chance, and I think Inter Milan have a chance. I think that
Oh, wow.
this Inter team,
They don't concede.
we're not talking about them at all, which is a good thing on their end.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where it's like a good bass player. You know, they just do their job and they go unnoticed. That's Inter Milan. They just show up, they get a clean sheet, and they go back home, drink their cappuccino.
They'll have to get through Bayern Munich though
Yeah.
to get there.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That did you guys watch that Bayern match?
I saw a little bit. Yeah.
Little bit.
You know, I mean, the score line doesn't do any justice to Leverkusen. They got really unlucky with that player getting sent off.
They had setting off, and then they have one where their goalie just goes for a high claim.
Yeah, just drops one.
Just
Absolutely
drops
fumbles
one.
it. I mean, Harry Kane had a nice goal to open the score,
Yeah.
but the 2 goals after that kind of blew the match out of proportion. Now they've got a hill to climb, down 3 goals, where it didn't really feel like Bayern were that much of the better team.
Yeah. It just felt like at the end it was getting away from Leverkusen so much that they were scrapping for anything. So I think Bayern are comfortably through in the next round. I don't think Leverkusen, for all their magic, can muster up 3 goals against this edition of Bayern Munich.
I think there's only about like 3 matchups now that are still relatively close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, Liverpool and PSG is still pretty close. Never mind. So there's 4 matchups now. The rest are pretty.
I mean,
Pretty set in
Arsenal
stone.
PSV is neck and neck, man.
PSV could make a comeback there. You never
Down
know.
7-1.
Down,
Yeah,
down
you
6
never know,
goals.
dude. You never know.
Oh man, that would be something. That'd be the happiest day.
I saw a
if that
tweet. I was
happened.
going to save this, but who doesn't love poking fun at Tottenham Hotspur? Even the Spurs fan can say that. I saw a tweet and it was like, "Oh, this was after Tottenham's 1-0 loss to AZ yesterday."
Mm.
And it was like, the Dutch league is very tough. It's not everyone can just walk into Ajax or Eindhoven and
That's
drop
funny.
7 goals on them with no striker and 5 fullbacks on the field.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Nope.
So,
There was a guy in one of my classes who was watching the Tottenham game and just was watching it all the way through. And, like, he's in the front row of class, so he can't really outwardly react. He's supposed to be paying attention,
Oh
of
my
course.
God.
But I'm sitting across from him. I'm also halfway tuned into the game, just the wraparound coverage of it. And I see, like, he's, like, gripping the desk, like, really,
dude,
really tight.
I get it.
That's
I get it.
And he turns to me because we've had a few conversations before. I know he's a Tottenham fan. He's like, I can't take it. I just don't like. I was like, and I got your message too of like, oh, Solanke out. I was like, what about Dominic Solanke? Another one. He's like, I hated him anyways. He needs to be
Oh,
gone.
no.
He does nothing for us.
Ah,
I was like, you guys are only down 1-0. He's like, I know. At least we didn't concede a bunch, but I'm still feel like this guy just has a undertone of anger, like in his
And
voice all the
negativity.
time. But watching him watch the Tottenham game, like, I can tell why he's like so stressed
yeah.
because he was I can't overstate how much he was gripping his desk.
I'm
trying
not
to
even
stay up
kidding.
there.
I've said it before. I'm sure I've said it to you. Daniel Levy owes every Tottenham fan like a lifetime of therapy.
Mm.
Mhm.
Just pay for their therapist for the rest of their lives because they're holding us back. I'll say that. Yeah, we'll get into Tottenham in a minute.
Oh my god.
We'll get into Tottenham in a minute.
I can't even.
Welcome back
Can't
to
even.
This Week at Tottenham.
Speaking of Tottenham.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Tottenham
Diego is
Fridays.
loving the demise of Desi and I.
Yeah.
Nah,
But
not this week.
Well, let's wrap up the Champions League. The only draw was between Lille and Dortmund. That doesn't surprise me at all. I feel like both of those teams wouldn't be surprised if they end up going to penalties in another stalemate in leg 2.
I want to see Lille go through there.
I would like to
Yeah.
see.
I would
Lille
love
go
to
Same
see
there.
here.
them go through.
I think it's a coin flip.
I think
Either of
they
those
will.
teams. But the thing is, I think one of those teams is going to have to go up against, assuming it's Barcelona.
Mhm.
Which, what a performance for them. I mean, you talked about how their defense is not that good, and they found a way to get a 1-0 win. I mean, Benfica's attack wasn't spectacular. It wasn't their best
Benfica
night.
blew a lot of chances.
They did blow a lot of chances, but like I said, Szczesny was phenomenal. So I mean, Kubarsi kind of lost his head in that moment. They went down 10 men early, but they still found a way to get that clean sheet. And I think that was a different Barcelona performance that we've seen from them in this season.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that we should keep an eye on moving forward because now we know that they've got that capability of shutting out an opponent 1-0.
Yeah, it was really weird.
I mean, how about Rafinha too? I mean,
Man on fire.
is he in the? Okay, it's a little early, but will he be in the Ballon d'Or conversation?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
At the
Yeah, he's
end
top
Oh,
3.
definitely.
of
He's
this
already
year.
there.
Definitely.
Right, he's already
He's
there.
top
He's
3.
already there, yeah.
It's him and Mo Salah. The same way we're gonna have that Rodri Vinny debate.
Yeah.
It's those two guys.
And yet Messi will win it. No, I'm just kidding.
I saw a statistic that it was like in 40 plus competition or all competitions this year. He has 25 goals, 17 assists.
Yeah.
Rafinha does.
Yeah, it's insane.
And he's tearing it up in the Champions League. He's
Yeah.
he's on fire.
At first it was like, oh my God, Rafinha's in form.
But now it's like a little bit.
now we're like,
little bit.
oh,
past
this is
that.
what he can do.
Yeah.
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 I mean, is he? I don't want to make any groundbreaking statements, but is he the best Brazilian next to Neymar in the most recent history of Brazilian football?
No.
The best Brazilian.
You got
That's a good question, to be
Rodrigo,
fair.
Vinny Jr. I think they've been better for longer. Those Brazilian guys.
I mean, Rafinha's been around a little longer than those guys.
but I think he's only been established like
Like
semi
just now,
recently.
yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had his time at Leeds, and he was really great, but he was never like in conversation for the best. This is the first time in his career he's been established as, oh my God, he's world class, and he's tearing it up at a top team at the highest level.
So what do you do if you're Brazil? What's your starting front three with all those options at winger?
Well,
I think-
definitely Anthony. No, I'm just kidding.
You got to move Vinny Jr. to striker, in my opinion. Play Rodrigo on the right. Or wait,
Rodrigo's used to playing striker.
so maybe then Rodrigo as striker.
He can
I-
play
I mean,
both. They
honestly,
can both
like,
play.
They could all,
like
yeah, they
you
could
can
both play
and
striker.
honestly, you can interchange all three of them, and that's what I was going to say. You could put Rafinha, Rodrigo, and Vinny in any order,
Mhm.
and if within the first 20 minutes, if it's not working, just switch everybody. Just rotate. Move Vinny to left wing, move Rodrigo to right wing, and then put Rafinha up front. Have him play like a cam, attacking mid.
It's a nice problem to have.
Yeah,
if
it's a good
you're-
problem to
if you're
have.
the-
They
if you're
can
the
they
manager.
have they can put a little trial of error into it.
Ooh.
See who fits where, how those players fit together on the field at the same time. I think this Brazil attack
It's
is
scary.
lethal
It's scary.
for 2026.
And we're going to get to see it very soon because their international break is coming up. Who are their opponents? It's like Argentina and someone else. They're playing two like really tough
They playing
games.
Colombia.
I think they're also playing Colombia, yeah.
What's is it just like friendly matches?
I think it's World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah,
Still.
it's like the bread and butter of World Cup qualifiers. And Neymar's back in the squad too.
Yeah, I was going to
Oh.
mention that. So Romano announced that yesterday. Neymar's back after 2 years, but Anthony and Endrick have been left out again from the roster.
Anthony should get a shout. He's in the form of his life.
No, I agree. He really should get a shout. It's pretty much unfortunate that he didn't get it this time.
You're right. It is Colombia and Argentina
Oof.
for the World Cup CONMEBOL qualifier.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I hope Brazil wins.
Back-to-back draws for them. They haven't won since last October in their 4-0 win over Peru. They drew with Venezuela and Uruguay, which, I mean, Uruguay's tough, but that Venezuela game, I'm sure Brazil thought they should have
Yeah.
came away with all 3
100%.
points. All right. Any other Champions League action? Do you guys want to talk? Any previews for what's to come in leg 2? Any upsets?
Well, one thing that I
Any
wanted
finishers?
to mention was that the second leg, like let's not forget, guys, the second leg between Barca and Benfica, that's gonna be the third time that these two teams have played against each other this season in the Champions League.
Yep.
Benfica are still looking for the revenge.
They haven't beat him yet. It could be fun. It's going to be fun.
Pavlidis, is he going to get on the score sheet?
If
I think he's the leading goal scorer. Is he
If
not?
they can just put their chances away, Benfica would have won that game 3-4-1. I mean, Barca sure would have scored at some point. But there were so many chances that they missed. They shot themselves in the foot. They're like, oh my God, we're up a man against Barcelona. Let's run wild and kick it into the stands.
Yeah, they didn't really know what to do with the opportunity.
I really wanted to see the Madrid teams go into the second leg even,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
but I think now that Real Madrid's up a goal, it might be tough.
Do you think there's a
for
chance that we
Atletico to
get
come back?
extra time in leg 2, possibly a shootout?
I think
I would
so.
love to see
We
that.
would have to see an Atletico Madrid 2-1 win.
That'd be
which-
nice.
Man, if
It's doable.
if Atletico ends up winning, the world is gonna go
Crazy.
berserk. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
'Cause
football
They
at
have
its
to
peak.
attack. That's the thing about this next game. They have to attack.
Yeah.
My five-a-side would be happy with this.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
Just
All right.
A little
Just saying.
preview.
All right. Before we transition, I think it's time we touch on Tottenham, just because we didn't talk about the Europa League at all. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched any of the games yesterday
Yeah.
on the Golazo show. They were much better and more entertaining than any of the Champions League games. I'll say that. As far as
Yes.
the play on the pitch, obviously, the teams are going to be better in the Champions League, but there were some really high quality moments and goals and saves in yesterday's matches. But I mean, obviously the one that stands out the most is AZ 1, Tottenham 0. It just wasn't Tottenham's day, and I have been wondering when the players are going to be, the reality is going to hit them that, our boss, his job's on the line. He's on the hot seat. Do we want him to stay, or don't mind if he gets pushed out the door? We're going to find out. Like, if the players really back Ange, we're going to find out on Thursday when they play, because they fell out flat. Their performance on Thursday would indicate that Ange is starting to lose that locker room, and that the players are no longer invested. They're no longer bought in. I mean, that was their senior team. He complained all year long about how he has no senior players and he's using teenagers and there's too many games, blah, blah, blah. Like, that was your chance to get the advantage, You got most of your senior players back. James Madison's back. Vicario's back. Udogi's back. I know your 2 center backs aren't back, but you've got some pieces that you can work with, and that's what they gave us. So it's hard to get excited for the future for Tottenham, especially with Ange if that's what we're going to be seeing. I need to see something change like immediately. Otherwise, he's gone.
I'm in the same boat as you, 100%. I will say, own goal aside, this was a draw for me. If aside from the Bergvall own goal, they should have drawn this game 0-0, and they didn't, and that's terrible. But
they didn't even get a goal back.
They didn't get a goal back, and that's awful. But I'm saying, I have some like inclination they're still gonna win. I think they're gonna come out and score some goals and try everything they can. But it's just not what you're looking for, ever, in a big matchup like this in the Europa League against a team who's, they're a Dutch side that's competitive. But
it's a competitive league, but
you cannot lose 1-0 to them.
No,
ever.
I mean, you said it. It wasn't at home. Spurs' form away from home hasn't been great. To be fair, their form at home hasn't been great either. No. It's been one of those seasons, man. And the amount of times I just feel like their attack is so predictable. Like there's no creativity, there's no inspiration, there's no fluidity with the attack. It's just so stagnant. There's nobody's making runs off the ball. There's nobody trying to chip in a ball over the top. Did you guys see that set piece?
No.
The Tottenham set piece?
I think I did.
Oh my God, it was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Okay.
They tried to.
I did see it.
They tried. So they had Son and Madison standing over the ball. It's about maybe 20 to 25 yards, central left to the box or to the goal. So the keeper's protecting his left mostly, and Son and Madison are standing over it. And you're thinking, oh, Madison's probably just going to try to curl one in. He's going to go right over the top of the box or of the wall, or he's going to try to curl it into the top back right corner with some loft. No, he goes up and he kind of just rolls it to Son, who overran it, and it was a training ground set piece that just went awful. Timing was off. Son wasn't on the same page with Madison. It ends up at the feet of Danso, who doesn't know what to do with it, so he just kind of chips it into the box, and the goalie just catches it. It was embarrassing.
They're just out of sync, completely. It's devastating.
We need changes.
I think he's gone if they don't win the next game.
I'm curious what the two non-Tottenham fans
I agree.
They're both kind of looking at us like we're crazy.
I mean, you guys are in the Europa League. It's Tottenham. You're used to not winning. It's like.
But this is like, okay, this
It's
goes
different,
back.
though.
This goes back.
Does it feel that much different?
It does for me.
To where because you've been high on Ange all year, like don't fire Ange, don't fire Ange, don't fire Ange.
Yeah.
It was always going to get to a point where he loses so much that he starts to lose even the diehard fans.
Yeah.
And like, now that you aren't willing to stick with him anymore.
I'm not giving up on him. I'm just saying he's on thin ice.
Like you're talking about next game, he's gone. Like.
I mean, like if
This
they
is the
lose,
season.
if they lose the game, they're out of every. Like they're
Yeah,
done.
he guaranteed a trophy in his second season, and then got knocked out of 2 domestic cup competitions in the same week.
Yep.
Albeit one of them was against a very good Liverpool team, but the performance was disgusting. They didn't even put up a fight. The Aston Villa game, they put up a fight. Tell got his first goal, but it was late. Like it was a gutless performance.
Mm-hmm.
This is your last chance to get that trophy that you've essentially guaranteed in your second season. And that's how they came out and performed in leg 1. Like it reminds me of when they sacked Mourinho 5 days before the Carabao Cup in 2021. Like, does this team want to win or no? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's the history of the Tottenham.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's transition to some more
some fun topics.
some fun topics.
I
Well,
like
Out of that pit of despair. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
this Tottenham segment is just a weekly thing at this
It's
point.
every week with you guys.
I'm sure people like poking fun at us, but I know this guy does.
Speaking of that, I was watching with my coworker yesterday, watching the game, and he knows nothing about soccer, and he says to me, "Oh, what teams are playing?" And so I tell him, and then he goes, "Tottenham? Aren't they the team that doesn't win?" Knows nothing about soccer, any teams.
That's a man of culture.
And somehow he knows that.
Yeah.
And he just wants to turn my gears a little bit right when I'm watching the game.
I have a similar story. This was like back in November. I was picking up a check here in this building on the second floor at the ASI office, and I had my water bottle, which I've lost. I have no idea where this bottle is anymore, but I've got a Spurs sticker on it. And I put my bottle on the desk of the receptionist desk just to like set it there, blah, blah, blah. My girlfriend and I walk away. I got my check, but I forgot my bottle, right? And I didn't even realize it. So the receptionist like grabbed the bottle, came up and was like, "Hey, is this yours? I think you left it." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you," And he's like, "I see you're a Tottenham fan." why? Like he literally said it like that. Like,
Wow.
why? And I'm like, that's just my team, man. He's just like, oh, well, good luck with that. Like, he genuinely felt bad for me.
Oh man.
That's rough,
So
man.
I get it, man. I get it.
I saw a video of a funeral, like when there's like the coffin, you got the car that's like driving it. The coffin had a big poster on the side that said, "He freaking hated Tottenham." So hey, even in death, you
Even in
still
death,
got to
you can
show it.
carry that same energy with you.
There you go.
That's great.
I respect it. Let's transition into some local footy. Obviously, at Long Beach State, there's no men's soccer team,
Hmm.
which I don't even think they're in season right now. It's all in the fall, right?
Yeah, men's
Men's
college
and
collegiate
women's are all in the
ball.
fall.
It's USL time, baby,
USL time.
and UPSL time.
We got USL and UPSL. And if you don't know what those are, well, USL is the tier below MLS.
Yeah.
Then there's USL 2 or USL 1 and 2. So there's 3 USL divisions.
Yes.
Yeah. 3 tiers.
And you're more of, you know more about the UPSL. Why don't you tell me and the listeners what it is, where does it fit in the ranks of American soccer, and why should we care about it?
Yeah, so the UPSL is essentially America's 4th division. You have MLS at the top of the proverbial pyramid, then the USL Championship, USL League One, and then below that's USL League Two, and there's a bunch of leagues below that. NPSL, UPSL is one of them. The NISA is another one. We are lucky enough in Long Beach to have our very own UPSL team in Long Beach FC, formerly known as Shoreline United FC.
Right.
And they are kicking off their home stand. They have their home opener this Saturday, which is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Now, they picked up a 1-0 win last week in their first match of the season. They're coming to Cabrillo High School.
Yes, Cabrillo High School.
This season, that's their home, Cabrillo High School. They've been playing at LBCC for the last 2 seasons. The UPSL is split up into fall and spring seasons. They're stronger in the spring. Trust me. Long Beach FC is going to be really strong in the spring. And, yeah, come out to a game. Support your local footy. It's only $8. Plus, the guys who founded this team, Willie and Sebastian, really great guys, Long Beach State graduates.
I was going to say, I was doing some research on them. They met in some financing class here.
They did,
Sports
yeah.
marketing.
Wow.
Sports marketing. So Long Beach State graduates, they're really tapped into the local community. Every game, there's also going to be a food drive for their sponsor, Food Finders.
Love that.
So you bring some canned goods, help some people out. They're just a great club. I know Diego's tapped in too. I mean, yeah, they're just good people and a great team.
I think we got to do a Footy Fridays appearance at a game one of these days. They're big supporters of the show. They follow us on Instagram.
Hmm.
I know Davis is one of their. He does social media for them over there.
Yeah, Davis
But-
has written a few really good pieces for them.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the writers for this season.
Yeah.
So he just did a profile on one of our defenders who's also a high school coach and won a title in the
Oh,
CIF
wow.
division. So check that out. Go to longbeachfc.com and read some stuff and get prepped.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at like some of their opponents, and I just think this is what real football heritage is about. The
Mhm.
lower levels. I mean, when I met you, that was like, I mean, your name, Rabbit Hole Football. You know,
Yeah.
this is the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know,
And this first game coming up on Saturday is going to be really tough. Laguna United, they made it to some of the final qualifying rounds to get into the U.S. Open Cup proper. They're really, really good. They're one of the top teams in the division. So this Saturday should be a really tough game against a really good opponent. Laguna, they're also a really community-focused club.
mm-hmm.
They have teams all the way down to like U6. They did a big thing for wildfire relief after the LA fires where they just had all their teams play on one day and had like this massive food and clothing drive. They're another really cool grassroots team as well.
Yeah, I'm looking. I mean, it's crazy that Apple Valley has a team. You know,
Everybody's got a team.
everybody's
You just
got
gotta
a
look
team.
for it.
Yeah, Wins FC, is that Santa Ana?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. 8830. That's a fun name.
Yeah.
And interesting Microsoft clip art logo. I just had to throw it out.
That's all it is. And then AMSG is their last home game of the season, and that'll be another tough one. They've faced each other a few times before.
Right on. Yeah, it looks like $40 for the spring pass.
I like
Yeah.
that badge too. That badge is really.
Yeah, it is a good badge.
Yeah,
It's
they
the
nice.
same one that when it was Shoreline, right?
Yeah.
They just changed the
they
name
just
to Long
changed
Beach.
the words.
I love the colors too.
It's really crisp. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's good brand, I will say.
Yeah.
See, and this is, I mean, I wanted to tie it into I've had a lot of conversations on mic and off mic about promotion and relegation, especially in America, and how we need it for teams like this
To
to be incentivized to thrive and to get better and play against other competitions. I know there's a equivalent to like an FA Cup in USA, right? Where MLS teams play teams like this.
That's the Open Cup.
The Open Cup.
But there is promotion and relegation within UPSL as well.
Mm-hmm.
In regions like SoCal, you do have the Premier Division, where you can move up and down out of. So last spring, Shoreline, previous Long Beach FC, were promoted up to the top division, and they've played the fall season where they avoided relegation. They finished mid-table, only missed out on the playoffs because of goal difference. And now this season they're trying to establish themselves with kind of a core of returning and a few new guys who they've scouted through other teams and make a push for that playoff spot again.
I like it. So this is their schedule.
That's the home schedule.
Yeah. Oh, this is the home schedule.
Yeah.
So they've got about 6 away games too.
Yeah, they've had an away game last week. There'll be more. They play every weekend, essentially, up until that last game is the last game of the regular season.
Gotcha.
On June 7th.
And then they have, I'm guessing, some sort of playoff.
Yeah, you qualify for playoffs, move forward, and then national championships, man.
There you go.
That's the ultimate goal.
Where
This
is
is
it
fun,
like
man.
hosted by the top team, or is it always held at like the same?
It's always hosted at neutral site.
Okay.
The spring UPSL championships, Diego and I went, checked that out, and it was at Great Park in Orange County where OCSC plays.
Okay. Yeah, I've
So
been there.
We went there. We saw a few cool teams, huh?
Yeah.
Just from all over the country. They
Mhm.
made it all the way. It's like a massive March Madness to get to this national championship.
Mhm.
It's every team who qualifies. They divide them up into small regions, then bigger regions, then bigger regions. Then there's 4 regional representatives that come to. Usually it's been Orange County. They've hosted it 3 times now.
Yeah, I mean they're getting big. Irvine especially is investing in this sport, and it's showing over at the Great Park. Which, by the way, this is kind of random. You know, USC baseball is playing over there this year.
No idea.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you can go check out a OC soccer club football game.
hmm
Head on over, watch some USC baseball.
Wow.
They're playing the Oregon Ducks this weekend. I saw that. Yeah, we're definitely going to try to get out to Cabrillo High School.
Oh,
That's where all
100%.
their home games are, right?
100%.
Yes.
But no
come
longer
out to a
playing at
game.
LBCC.
Come out to a game.
Come
All
out to a
career
game.
high.
$8.
Yeah.
Tell me you don't have $8 laying around.
So watch some footy too.
Yeah.
Like,
Support your local team.
love that.
I think that's something that Footy Fridays can absolutely get behind.
Yes.
Let's wrap it up with our newest take on starting 11, which I think was a success. It's our 5-a-side teams. How do you want to call it? 5-a-side league?
Showdown.
5-a-side
Five-a-side
showdown?
showdown.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
that.
that's what we're calling it, the showdown.
I like that.
After 1 week, JD stands atop of the standings
That's
with
right.
37.1. Mind you, there's a maximum score of 50 points per week. 5 players, maximum score of 10 per player. So 37.1 out of 50. That's a pretty good score to open up with.
That is.
Des-
Thank you, hold on, I gotta give a big shout out.
Big shout out.
Fallon Tullis-Joyce.
Yes.
My goalkeeper for Manchester United in the WSL kept another clean sheet. She has the highest save percentage. It's pushing 90%. That's absurd.
That is absurd.
Hey, you did your homework. You got rewarded. So there you go. Fair
She
play.
had a 8.1 performance. It was the highest of any player.
Yes, sir.
No surprise that that's the reason why JD is on top after 1 week. Desi is only 1 point behind with 36.1. We were watching that AFG game when Mortensen bagged a goal.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in the lead right out of the gate.
Kind of
Oh,
fell off a
yeah.
little
Talk
bit.
about guys who do their homework. Desi.
Yeah, right. Love that guy. Face of the team.
Then we got myself, 1.4 points behind Desi with 34.7, and Diego's right behind me with 33.9. So all of us are only separated by about 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty neck and neck with each other, and I think maybe that keeps up this week and the week after. Maybe Diego and I take the lead after this week. Who knows?
We'll see.
I hope so.
We gotta get into the teams.
Yeah.
Let's start with let's go. So every week when we do this, we'll start from the bottom of the standings
Mm-hmm.
and go up. Or what do you think? Should we
Yeah,
go from the top or bottom?
Bottom
Start
up.
from
Bottom up?
Bottom up.
All right. So Diego, we're gonna have you start with your 5 new players for this weekend.
All right. Let's start at goalkeeper, shall we? I'm going to choose Joseph Martinez from Inter Milan. Inter has a relatively easy game this weekend. They're facing Monza. tomorrow. And if you take a look at the standings, Monza are in dead last
Yeah.
in Serie A. It's a home game, and we mentioned previously in the show about Inter's defense. It's been phenomenal. They only lost one game since February 16th, but other than that, they've only let one goal in their net once in the last 4 games. So defensive-wise, they've been killing it, and it's versus Monza, so theoretically should be a win, first of all, and hopefully a clean sheet for my own sake. But yeah, I'm going to put my trust this week on Joseph Martinez. Now looking for my first defender. Let's go with Min Jae Kim from Bayern Munich. I actually added this guy to my team of the week last weekend because he put up a pretty good performance for Bayern. And speaking of Bayern, they are facing Bochum. Taking a look at the standings, Bochum is third to last place in the Bundesliga. So another relatively easy match, top versus bottom game. And if you take a look at the average stats from Min Jae Kim, 7.0 versus Leverkusen, 7.8 versus Stuttgart, another 7.8 versus Frankfurt. So yeah, average rating 7.45 according to FootMap. So pretty good, solid defender for Bayern Munich. I'll go with him. Now moving on to my midfielders. Let's go to MLS, shall we?
Like it.
I am the MLS expert here on the show. Going to my league here, I'm going to choose Evander, one of the biggest signings that Cincinnati did in the winter MLS transfer window. He was a star player for Portland. Now we'll see if he will be the star midfielder for Cincinnati. Cincinnati are facing Toronto also tomorrow. A little bit of an Eastern Conference clash. Toronto are sitting in 13th, basically the third to last place in the Eastern Conference. Not a good start for them. While Cincinnati, 1 win, 1 defeat. Their last game was a defeat, a pretty big one, 4-1 versus Philadelphia. Not a good performance, but they are playing at home this time versus Toronto, which is honestly a weaker side if you ask me. So it should be a relatively, maybe an easy win, hopefully, for my own sake anyway. Evander, he already scored a goal on his debut versus Philadelphia, which the only goal in which they lost, but still, he got a goal. I think he will also provide another goal as well for Cincinnati this weekend. Now for my second midfielder. It is a surprise player. I put it in here in the doc because I didn't want to reveal it to you guys. And I just want to say this, all right? When I came into the show, when I was introduced to Starting 11, there was no rule as to the level of professional status that a player has to be.
They just gotta have a rating.
Oh boy.
They just got to have a rating. So with that being said, for my midfielder,
Oh boy.
I'm going to choose Manny. That's right. The football content creator for this weekend's Simon charity match.
Wow.
This man scored a hat trick last year, so I'm going with him. So, boys,
That is a
I'm
great
sorry,
pick.
but I'm going
is
for the
this?
points
That
here.
is such a good pick.
I'm going for the
Oh
points
my-
here,
Charity
all right?
match, happens once a year.
Right.
Once a year, right? I think it's once a year.
It always ends up, like 8-7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a ton of goals.
Ton of goals.
Oh man.
And
They-
if he has a score, I mean,
They get rated on FOTMob.
Yeah.
They're on fire. Well, who I'm having trouble figuring out who this person is.
Well, he's a football content creator.
What would I know him from? Do I have to Google him?
you'd probably have to Google him.
Yeah.
All right.
I
I'll
don't even
Google it. I'll
have
Google it.
a scope of it. I just know that's such a good pick.
Yeah,
that
that's what I'm saying,
JD's
man.
jealous.
Everybody
JD's like, why
I
did
didn't
I
know they
think
had
of
that
that?
on FOTMob.
Everybody
That's
gets rated
wild.
so
Yeah.
high from that
Yeah,
game.
that's wild.
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Hey, I'm
wow.
going big here, boys. I'm going big. I'm in the bottom of the West here. I don't want to be. I don't want to be San Diego.
That's
Okay,
so
He
good,
needs
I'm
to
Diego.
going
keep
up.
showing,
That's
man.
excellent.
I'm going for the big fish
That's
here.
excellent work.
And lastly, forward position, cherry on the top, Mo Salah.
Okay.
I'm
Nice.
going for him.
Yeah.
Boys, I'm going for the big points, okay? So be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could
to
see him
play.
putting in a huge performance after that.
They're playing Southampton.
Yeah.
Come on. At Anfield.
Ooh.
Theoretically, it should be an easy win.
Diego might be cooking this
You
week.
might have a good little five-a-side there. I like it.
So we got Martinez, Kim, surprise player.
Manny.
Manny. Manny, Evander, and Mo Salah.
Yeah.
Yes,
like
sir.
Stuff.
Like it.
He's coming for blood.
Yeah.
Be careful, boys.
Be careful. All right. I guess it's my turn since I'm in third. I'm going to start with a goalie that was actually the inaugural goalie in this season of Starting 11, Bryce Samba.
Mm-hmm.
He's since changed teams since we put him on. When we put him on, initially he was playing for RC Lens.
Mm-hmm.
He's now playing for Rennes within the same domestic league in Ligue 1 in France. But Samba, just because he's on a new team doesn't mean he don't have that goalkeeping ability. I mean, he has probably been the best keeper in the French league this season. 8.4, 8.1, 8.0, 8.9 in his last 4 games, and that includes 2 yellow cards. If you're putting up 8.5 or better with a yellow card under your belt, that's got to be a pretty good performance. And they're playing PSG. Do I think they're going to beat PSG? No. But this PSG team, we know how many shots they can put on target.
Shots, yeah.
I think Bryce Samba is going to get in the way of a few of them. He might let 1 or 2 in, but I think his score is going to be pretty solid. I think he gets in the way of at least 3 or 4 saves. So, Bryce Samba is my goalie. In defense, Desi got a peek at this guy and was he felt a little nostalgic back in his FIFA playing days. Junior Firpo for Leeds United. This guy's just on fire. I mean, Leeds are on fire this season. They're probably going back to the Prem. Firpo's been one of those guys that has been on that back line for a while. Back-to-back man of the matches for him. He's got 2 goals and an assist in his last 2 championship games. Junior Firpo and Leeds, sorry, 1 second, they are taking on Portsmouth. So an opponent that they should handle. My 2 midfielders, I'm going to start within the same league in the championship. This guy plays for Sunderland, Daniel Neal, one of my guys from my FIFA career modes that I've taken to the top. 7.27 FOTMOB rating this season. His last 5 games has been right around 7.5. He's the consistent midfield player that I'm going for. I'm expecting right around a 7.5 for him, just to kind of help bolster my score. My other midfielder, James Rodriguez. We put him in the lineup a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago. Yeah, a few years ago.
Come on, man.
Yeah, back in his prime days at Bayern and Real.
2014 Colombia? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I wonder what his FOTMOB rating for that game would have been. But yeah, he's at Lyon now, and he's kind of back in form, 8.3, 9.1, 7.6, 7.5, 7.4. So technically he's on the slight downward track, but ever so slightly. He hasn't scored since February 19th, so he's going to get back on the score sheet this weekend when Lyon take on Santos. They're at the bottom of the Mexican League. So I'm expecting a nice battle there between the 2 green teams. And up front, João Pedro for Brighton. Brighton are on fire right now. This is a good Brighton team that have won 5 straight games against Premier League opponents. They're taking on Fulham, which will be a tough matchup for both teams. They're kind of right next to each other in the standings. But I could see this being a 2-2 draw with João Pedro getting on the score sheet. So give me João Pedro, who in 21 matches, 7 goals, 6 assists in the Premier League. I like those numbers. So João Pedro, Junior Firpo, James Rodriguez, Dan Neal, and Bryce Samba.
Nice.
I like those picks, man.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I like 'em a
Desi,
lot.
you are
I like
up
'em a lot.
next.
Okay, so heading into my goalkeeper, I debated a little bit. Initially, I had Vicario in this slot, and I'm losing faith slowly. Not in him
Dang,
personally,
bro.
but in the team. So I've shifted to another Tottenham goalkeeper, classic Hugo Lloris for LAFC. They play Seattle Sounders tomorrow. I'm hoping for a big. He's had a pretty good start to his MLS career, so I'm hoping he can save some shots, maybe get a clean sheet against Seattle.
Crazy how he's won more trophies at LAFC in MLS than at
Hey,
Tottenham.
Where's the card?
I had
We
to,
need
right?
some
I know.
cards.
At least once.
I-
At least
yeah,
once I
it's
had
an
to.
immediate red.
If only, I should have
can't even.
overnight Amazon those packages because I could give you a card right now.
Oh,
it.
man.
That's great.
I am the least Suarez of this
Tactical
show,
foul.
man.
Tactical foul. That's what that is.
Yeah, that was a low blow. That was a low blow. My defender for this week goes by the name of Daniel Vivian for Athletic Club. He actually got injured this week, actually, which I didn't realize. But his expected return is doubtful. He kind of had a little bit of a rough start against Roma in the Europa League this last week. But besides that, he's been on fire. Some good performances. Hopefully he's back. If not, I'll get someone else in there.
I was gonna say, I think that's.
Um,
I don't think we've had that happen before.
Yeah. So Daniel Vivian, he's got a 7.4 rating this year on FOTMOB on average in 23 matches. So
Good stuff.
I'll get him in there. Maybe he might have to be shifted out. But for now, he is my defender. Moving into the midfield, I got 2 Danes. Notice kind of a theme. I think I've had
Desi
a
likes
Dane.
the Danes.
I've had a Dane in every squad I've had
Danish Desi.
this year. Got to represent. But the first one plays for San Diego FC. Goes by the name of Jeppe Verskov. He's actually I think he just came from a Danish club Just came from, I think it's Nordsjælland. But he has not had below a 7.0 rating since August of last year.
Whoa.
Now,
Wow.
given that is in the Danish league,
Right.
which is very competitive, but he has not had below a 7 rating, which is insane. He's had a great start to his career at San Diego FC. I think he has a great showing. His last showing was an 8.4 against St. Louis City. Plays in the midfield, box to box. He can do it all. Love this guy.
And that was in a
First off.
scoreless match, too.
Scoreless
So if
match,
he's scoring
exactly.
8.4 in a
Exactly.
game with no goals, that's impressive.
I love this guy. San Diego FC, they play, let's see.
Real
Where
Salt
they
Lake.
play. Yeah, they play Real Salt Lake, so that should be a good game for him. And they're missing Chucky Lozano, so they need
Ooh.
some punch from the midfield.
No Chucky.
And then my next guy in the midfield, Mikkel Damsgaard,
Ooh, I
Who-
like that pick.
is, in my opinion, really been an underrated player this year in the Premier League. He has 10 assists on the year, 2 goals. And I feel like not a lot of people are talking about his contribution to Brentford this year. I know they're only in 11th in the Premier at the moment, but he's going to put in a good showing. He's had a really great year. His last few games have been stellar. Put in an 8.7 against Leicester City. I know it's Leicester City, but it's okay. I like him to put in a good performance. They play Aston Villa this week, tomorrow. Mikkel Damsgaard, for me, is my last midfielder. And then my forward, they need a big performance in the Champions League this next week if they're going to have any chance at beating Real Madrid. Julian Alvarez, he had an absolute screamer this week.
Yeah, what a goal.
Mhm.
What a goal he scored. And I think if they're going to have any chance, he needs to get on the score sheet somehow. And I think he can, playing Real Madrid on Wednesday in the Champions League.
Big matchup. That's probably the last matchup of any of our players. So all of our eyes will be on that Real Madrid game,
Oh, yeah.
as it should be.
Definitely.
Julian Alvarez, Mikkel Damsgaard, Jeppe Surkov,
Verskov, yeah.
Verskov, Daniel Vivian may or may not play, and Hugo Lloris rounds up Desi's squad.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
And the big man in the studio, JD, the man at the top
All
of
right.
the standings.
I've been impressed with everybody's lineups. I'm going to keep mine snappy. Give me the man of the moment in goal, Alisson, going against Southampton. You'd imagine clean sheet unless something crazy happens. So I like him a lot. Then we're going to Ligue 2.
This is 22S Radio,
Duh.
88.1
We
FM
got a top of the table
HD3,
clash between Lorient,
KKJZ,
trying to
Long
get back
Beach,
into
Los Angeles,
Ligue 1,
streaming at
and Paris FC, the latest
22westmedia.com.
acquisition of, I believe, Red Bull. So Jurgen Klopp could be in attendance. Some high-profile names. Give me the left back for Lorient, Darlene Yongwa.
Goat.
Really, really consistent man. I
Love
mean,
this guy.
he is just a beast. If Lorient want to open up a 6-point gap at the top of this table, he's going to need to have a big game. He's got 4 assists on the season, but what he does really well is just operate in possession. He's a great distributor. I like what he can do. And then USL is kicking off this weekend. A lot of great matchups. A lot of eyes are going to be on Charleston Battery against Louisville City. Give me the longtime Charleston man, Aaron Malloy. Really consistent player. He's been with Charleston for a while. Had a great season last year. I'm expecting him to get off to a hot start again. And then we're going to a top versus bottom clash in La Liga Femenil. It is Barcelona against Valencia. Now, Barcelona's on fire. They just had El Clasico in what is essentially the Copa del Rey. It's the Copa La Reina. They played Real Madrid, smashed them 5-0. They're on fire. Nobody's going to take them down. There's a lot of great players for this Barcelona team. Ewa Pejor, Samba Paruelo. But I'm going to go with the 18-year-old who's been tearing it up in the midfield, Vicky Lopez. Really, really talented player. She should get a lot of minutes against this Valencia team. I'm hoping, because Barcelona just has so many options at their disposal. Anybody can go off on any given day. And then at forward, a former Footy Fridays man of the match. Diego was on the right track, picking a Bayern Munich man, but I'm going to hope Michael Olise puts up a bigger score against Bochum. Really talented guy. Put him in my forward position. Really tempting to go with Harry Kane, but Olise, he's a different animal.
I almost went with Harry Kane over João Pedro, and my mindset for it was like, I'm going to try to not pick the same players over and over when we're doing this head-to-head. So I'm saving that Harry Kane chip for when I need it most. And I don't think I need it after 1 week.
Okay.
You know, it's the way I look at it, he's kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yeah.
I don't need to get out of jail right
Yeah.
now. So
Okay.
I like it. Yeah, do you have anything to say after 1 week being at the top of the table?
Hey, it's just 1 week. There's a lot more weeks to come.
There's a lot more weeks
I'll
to come.
wear the crown for now, but again, we're really close. Nothing's decided just yet.
Only 4 points separate us. Once again, Becker, Yongwa, Malloy, Lopez, and Olise. That rounds up JD's team at the top of the standings. That wraps up the show for us. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Footy Fridays. We'll be right back here in the studio Same time next week, 9 a.m. on Friday. Up next on the 22 West Sports Block is Dunk Discussions. Thank you for tuning in. Well,